What was the big rumor in your high school viewer edition? Story 1. I was told by many teachers and alumni that there was an underground tunnel connecting two of the buildings. This turned out to be true when my drama teacher took the class outside and showed it to us. Edit, since some people are confused, let me explain. Nobody is exactly sure what the tunnel's original purpose was, but it was widely believed to have been a bomb shelter back in World War II and the Cold War. Nowadays, it's used by the drama program to store set pieces that they don't need anymore. I actually heard the same thing about my high school, but it had a bomb shelter tunnel that I think connected to the junior high. I'm not 100% certain. I might have to go back and look at that, but I do remember seeing a bigger door that had some old peeling signs, and someone's like, yep, that's the tunnel between the schools, but I never got confirmation like you did, and now I kind of feel like I want to go get it. Story 2. It wasn't the biggest rumor in the school, but it was big with my class. 7th grade through the first part of sophomore year, the middle school was part of the high school building for some reason. There was a massive rumor that I was trans because I was and always have been boxy with no curves and a relatively deep voice. The rumor only stopped after I bled through my pad and got blood all over my chair and pants. So glad that it was within the same month that the first COVID lockdown happened and I was allowed to finish high school online after that. Well, as we in this channel will say, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being trans. I fully support all trans people out there. It would be frustrating to have a bunch of people out there trying to sling that at you because I imagine that they are not being nice about it. And so I'm sorry for whatever you had to deal with, and I'm sorry that you had to deal with what you had to deal with unfortunately things coming to light in that fashion. That has to have been embarrassing and stressful, but it shouldn't be. It's natural. You're awesome. Sucks to them. I hope you never have to deal with them again. Story 3. 2 stories I remember from middle school. Edit, I added one from high school I suddenly remembered. A male gym teacher was fired for going into the girls' locker room while they were changing, only to be hired back soon after because they couldn't find anyone to replace him. I'm not sure if that one was true, but I do remember him walking into the locker room once when I was there, mainly because a girl had run in. I don't remember why the girl ran in, but I think it was because she had something that wasn't allowed on school property. He was quickly yelled out by all the shocked girls in bras. Story 2. A boy in my history class broke into a cigar shop. I personally didn't believe it until the shop's camera footage was posted on local news. He walked past the cigars and lighters that were easily worth hundreds of dollars only to take the cheapest stuff he could find. He shoved it in his backpack, then took out an axe. He used the axe to break what he thought was the security system, but in reality was a thermostat. Then he walked out, got on his bike, and fell over a few times before pedaling off. Same kid also threatened to shoot up the school. Police officers were in the hall all day long, basically swarming the school. I had a 7th period with him, and I didn't see him. There was one last rumor about him. His dad was apparently in prison in Russia. No clue about that one. And in high school gym, we had to lock our backpacks up in cages before going into the locker room since a girl once brought a taser in and attacked the other girls. So yeah. Story 4. A senior who had turned 18 not long ago was super touchy with a married teacher. Rumor had it that they were dating, and his friends asked him about it. That senior was my brother, and the teacher was our aunt. We all laughed really hard the next day when dropping her kids off to be babysat. Story 5. My school also had a pool rumor, but that it was in the 4th floor since Florida didn't have basements. 4th floor was real, but needed a special key to access the stairs and elevator to reach it. However, the pool was not. We even got some teachers to believe in it, which was awesome. I was about to sound real dumb and say, how could you even have a pool on the 4th floor? It's too high up. A building could never support that. Absolutely forgetting about just all the buildings that exist that have rooftop pools and infinity pools and stuff like that. So what the hell do I know? Story 6. I have a friend from high school who lived kind of far from school and would always be missing for weeks at a time because he was sick, and one time he was gone for 2 months. Everyone assumed he was dead, and he didn't answer his texts or anything. Then one day, he came back and had a C in geometry for the rest of the year because he missed so much. We always joked about how Daniel had cholera, tuberculosis, died, came back from the dead, and also lived in Korea, Australia, India, or Poland. Story 7. The rumor at my school was that the guidance counselor was fricking the principal. They spent a lot of time together and acted like the king and queen of the school who ruled with an iron fist. It was never confirmed, though, so I don't know if it's true. The second biggest rumor was that the same principal was a perv who liked looking at the students' legs. It was an all-girls school, and at a certain year, the students had to move into the dorm. Dorms were mandatory. And the guy was the only male on campus aside from the vice principal, who was a pretty chill guy. He also lived right next door to the school. I don't know if it was true. I left before the dorm year. Story 8. Trigger warning, assault. Back in middle school, this guy joined during my 8th grade year. He was in the same year as me, and it began spreading throughout our year that he was here because he had been arrested for R-ing his 9-year-old cousin and had finally gotten out of juvie. He had been getting very weird around a friend of mine, and my friends and I were some of the first to hear this rumor, so we were very cautious and wary around him. This rumor turned out to be true. My friends were able to confirm it, and once we did, we never willingly let him interact with us. Didn't stop his gross butt from worming his way into our table a couple times with this other person who also had a similar, though not as bad in terms of SA, I think, and more extensive past. Yeah, those were not fun times. Story 9. What a coincidence. Today at my high school, a friend kind of visited jail during the Thanksgiving break. The rumor was she was attempting credit card fraud, and when the cops asked, she denied, then they tried to take her into custody. Then when they tried to, she attempted to grab a cop's gun. The real story went something like this. She called the cops for personal reasons and tried to skip a class. She didn't cooperate very well and got arrested. She ended up okay, and I don't think anything too bad happened. She said she went to Ohio and spent Thanksgiving break with her grandma. I could have got the story wrong, so please take this with a grain of salt. Also, last year there was a shooting threat during homecoming. Actually, that was a real threat. There was no school shooting, though.
Good Lord, if there is one thing I do remember from middle school and high school, it is if another student or a teacher gets involved in the cops in any capacity, the rumors are going to explode and they're going to just get more and more ridiculous. I, apparently went to school with people who were in the mafia and stuff by what people would say.
Story 10. While not the big rumor in the school, there was one regarding me that made life interesting. During my angsty teenage years, I was way too attached to my leather jacket and earned me the nickname Mafia among my friends. Well, somehow that got twisted into people either thinking I had mob connections or claimed to, gaining me undeserved fear and ridicule. No, I have no mob ties. Story 11. I remember the rumor from my school that there was a ghost in the Year 5 girls' bathroom. While in there at times, I would sing songs like Tilly Tilly Boom or Daisy Bell, just to stir the rumor a bit more. Turns out it was due to the old heater that's built into the wall. It makes rattling noises due to it being very old. This was only last year the rumor happened. In 6 months, I'm leaving the school, so this is great to look back on.
I feel like every school that's a little bit old has to have some sort of ghost rumor. There's always a ghost somewhere. In my school, it was the ghost in the auditorium. There was even a specific seat that the ghost would appear in. Absolutely all faked. I saw the pictures. I know how they were made and stuff. But it is fun. It's a fun little rumor. I like yours even better. Toilet ghosts. Great.
Story 12. I grew up in New Hope, Pennsylvania, a very small town just across the river from New Jersey. The Battle of Trenton started near there. My tiny high school never had a football team, and whenever we asked, the rumor was that some kid had broken his neck playing football, so the insurance company didn't allow it. Years later, looking into the history of a school on the other side of the river, I found out it was true, but it wasn't our high school. It was this other one maybe 10 minutes away. Story was the ghost of the kid still haunted the now long abandoned football field. Story 13. There was a rumor at my school that our art teacher, who was married to our Spanish class teacher, was sleeping with a student. We thought it was confirmed when the Spanish class teacher took a leave of absence for a week and the art teacher was fired. The rumors were never confirmed. The official story we got was the art teacher submitted another student's work to an art scholarship under the name of the student he was allegedly sleeping with, basically saying it was her work instead of the actual artist. The student he was supposedly seeing switched schools, lost the scholarship. The Spanish teacher returned to class eventually, and I hear she later divorced the art teacher. Story 14. This isn't completely on topic, but it was a rumor among some kids in my class. My PE teacher favored me and my friend, who I'll call Oliver. This got to the point where we started thinking that he might be a pedo. Side note, Oliver is a trans boy, and my PE teacher didn't know that. Teacher was a middle-aged man with a kid, and we were 12 and 13-year-old, in his mind, girls. Some of the things he did: he would always let Oliver and I get our balls before the rest of the class and actually scolded a kid for trying to get his before we did. I always played basketball and Oliver always played volleyball. Whenever we came back from lunch, the teacher would already be holding a basketball and volleyball and give them to us. He was always really adamant that I get a girl ball because it would be easier for me to hold. Every time he gave me a ball after lunch, it was always a girl ball. This leads me to believe that he got out these balls specifically for Oliver and I. For context, I was in 7th grade and had class with the 6th graders. For the first half hour of class, they would be at lunch. They would come back, they would go to lunch, then we came back, and both grades had class together for the remaining hour. When the 6th graders were at lunch, I would always shoot balls at this one particular hoop. Everyone else did their own thing, and I always let other people play if they wanted to, so it's not like I was hogging it. Every time we came back from lunch, the hoop would always be empty while the rest of them around the gym were filled. Whenever someone was in the space of the hoop, I wouldn't shoot so I wouldn't accidentally hit them. Whenever the PE teacher saw this, he would scold them because she's at this hoop every day and you shouldn't be in her space. The only person he wouldn't yell at was Oliver. I was completely fine with them being there and told him this. He didn't stop. It got to the point where I had to tell my classmates to not go in that space too long because he would yell at them. Another thing, I would cut myself with a razor a lot. Without fail, every time I showed up with a Band-Aid from this, he always pointed it out. Most of the Band-Aids were on my thighs. This meant that he was looking in that area. Whenever someone wasn't doing something in the gym, they would get in trouble. However, every day after lunch, Oliver would read by his backpack. He never got in trouble or got anything below a 100% grade. I'm in music theater. For an in-school show, the girls had to wear black dresses and heels. I was walking around the track afterward at gym, and the teacher said that I didn't have to walk because I was in heels and that I could sit with the teachers. Oliver was also there. Note for context, the dress was from 6th grade, so it was small for me, but since they were expensive, I kept it. I have a really big chest, and with the dress, it highlighted them even more. Even though my feet hurt from the heels, I kept walking because I didn't want to be that close to him, especially in that outfit. That's how much he creeped me out. Also, we go to a charter school, so we have uniforms, and I wear a skirt every day. I'm in summer right now, and I really hope I don't have him next year.
Yeah, folks, I know there are a lot of teachers who can seem very caring and, might become kind of friendly with certain students, and I think that can be okay. I had teachers that I was more friendly with and stuff, but always approach that kind of thing with caution. You never know when a teacher might be getting too close for the wrong reasons, gaining your trust, and essentially kind of grooming you. So be careful with those situations. Always make sure there are other folks around, because I don't want any of you to ever have to deal with things going bad.
Story 15. Okay, so this just happened this year, November to now, and I've been dying to tell others. At my school, there was this art teacher. Let's just call him Mr. Johnson. So Mr. Johnson was your average old dude in his late 50s, kind of still in his hippie era, and super chill. He was our art teacher and almost everybody liked him. Well, it just so happens that in 6th grade, I heard a rumor that he was doing drugs in his classroom. I took it into consideration and went on my merry way. It's been 2 years, and there's been way more rumors. Me and my friends, all 14 to 13, mostly females, have known about this for years. I now have art period 8, and my other friends have periods 2 and 5. Now, Mr. Johnson has been acting even weirder. His art room smelling weirder, him acting almost high in class. His weird behavior was when he would hit my friends and I on the head with cardboard at times, talk to me about box cutters / knives, etc. I've even seen him taking unlabeled pills in class. Well, turns out the effer overdosed in period 2, passing out for the whole class to see. The authorities and school officials didn't say a word about the incident, did not explain what happened. We just found out 2 days ago that the guy was on drugs, hiding drugs in his closet, etc. My friends and I noticed his odd behavior and the rumors, and we all guessed it was an overdose. As a teacher, overdosing in a middle school and putting literal children in danger is just so unsafe and crazy to me. as I live in a town with almost no incidents like this. I'm just so glad it was in a class of 8th graders rather than 6th. Anyways, enjoy this story. If you'd like to know more, just search up art teacher overdoses in classroom, New Jersey Fox News. Story 16. A female coach was said to have had relations with the male students during some weekend and summer practices for like 2 years. Eventually, someone actually took audio of it when they went into the boys' locker room one day. It wasn't with just one student at the same time, or two. Story 17. In my freshman year of high school, I had a teacher who looked like Deadpool if he wasn't burnt, who was rumored to be a pedo. The rumor ended up being correct, but before confirmation, I was so angry that, being quite tall, I kicked him in the groin. I should also mention that I was a soccer player and was wearing steel-toed shoes at the time, so my kicks are fairly strong. I think I caused some pretty bad genital trauma. No regrets, though. Story 18. I've one of my own. In school, I was well respected and trusted as I was mostly honest, but at the same time I was very quiet, so there were many normal things unknown about me. Like nobody knew my birthday all throughout secondary school, and one day I joked around with a friend who questioned if I had a kill list. And I was fairly on good terms with this guy, but still we joked about it every so often. By the end of the term, things really kicked off as people overheard me and this friend and started spreading a rumor saying I had a kill list, and since people believed it, by the end of the week, things really turned out for the worse. All of a sudden, I went from respected guy to a now criminally insane and dangerous guy on school premises. I still have people with trust and friendship, but the overall majority of people were in pure fear, and people who sat next to me in class literally got as far away from me as possible. This actually got so bad that in the end of the school literally dragged me aside, called the police, searched me, and so happened to find a short list of people I dislike and plans I had against them, thus they used it as evidence against me. In the end, I got suspended for 2 weeks and constant messages on Snapchat of people telling me they are in fear, and some even made threats against me in which I deleted the app. I am currently waiting this suspension with the possibility of a permanent exclusion from the school as of now. I really hope you guys have support for me as I genuinely want to go back since my only decent friends are there that are my age. And if permanent exclusion were to happen, I really do not know if I will come back.
I will say, I know that you did not, intend to, actually do anything terrible or awful. You were joking around, and I hope that is shown to be the truth and you're able to go back and it doesn't affect your life harshly. But this is a good warning for folks that, especially in this day and age with how many unfortunate shootings and stuff there have been in schools, it's not a thing you ever want to joke about or let get joked about by other people and silently almost kind of toy with it and encourage it. As much as you might know that it's a joke, other people don't necessarily know that, and it can cause trouble for you that you just shouldn't have to deal with. It's just the way things are these days, so careful what you joke about or let be joked about.
Story 19. I had 2 in my high school years. One, the Spanish teacher did drugs and would regularly be high for the first few periods, then crash for the rest of the day. This one was true when the police escorted her out after passing out at her desk during class. 2, that the drama teacher slept with a student so she could get better grades. This one turned out to be false, but we didn't find out until almost the end of the court trial. One girl wanted a 4.0 GPA but had a C in drama, so her and her friends concocted this rumor to get him fired and get a new teacher or get sympathy. The last day of the trial, one of the friends interrupted the court telling the truth, and she never thought it would go this far. This led to the other 2 girls to validate it, and the liar finally admitted it to the judge. Sadly, the teacher became a pariah, was unhireable, and the news didn't cover the truth very well, so people still thought that he did it. He actually worked at my church as the soundboard and visual guy. Sadly, his first day he worked there was so much gossiping and people turning kids away from him that my pastor had to make an announcement and tell everyone the truth about the trial. After that, he was pretty accepted and did very well at his job. Story 20. I have one. When I was in high school, it was rumored that a biology/volleyball coach was harassing female students to sleep with him. The rumor started after another male teacher confronted him when several of his female students confided in him about that biology teacher being inappropriate to them. He ended up quitting. At the end of that year, he married one of his female students who graduated that year. She was also the volleyball player he coached. The worst part was his daughter went to our high school while all this was going on. I felt so bad for her. Story 21. I got two involving one me, curse of popularity from mostly notoriety. One was that a student teacher who always helped at my class had a crush on me and I was plowing her. She was only in my class and paid attention to me. I chalked it up to her being accommodating and having discussion. I have a learning disability and learn better through discussion. It was in my last year of school. All my friends and people who heard the rumor kept bugging me about it, and I didn't help my case by being silent about it, but it just stayed like that rumor. I ran into her a couple years at my college, conveniently. 2, that most of the members in the drama club were screwing the drama teacher that everyone drooled over. It was false, but hell, that was light compared to the debauchery we partook in and took with us that nobody outside the club knew.
Oh yeah, if there's one thing I can confirm, it's that debaucherous things are happening with drama clubs in schools amongst students. Theater kids are some of the most just hormonal, touchy, just... Look, if you're going to be in theater, be prepared for things to get a little too rambunctious. Don't.
Story 22. This one was middle school, not high school, but there was a rumor that this girl got pregnant. A friend of mine and I became friends with this guy who ended up being her boyfriend at the time. I asked him out of pure curiosity and he told me it was not true and that the two of them found it funny because everyone in our grade believed it because a popular kid I actually used to be friends with said it was. Story 23. There was a rumor that a female teacher who had a boyfriend from our department was sleeping with a male teacher who had a fiancé from another department. Apparently, this ended the male teacher's engagement, but the female teacher's relationship was unaffected. After I graduated, another teacher confirmed that the two teachers had an affair, but at that time, both had split up, so they were more rebounds for each other. Story 24. The pool under the gym rumor. We had the exact same thing in my high school. Only reason I know that the OP was talking about a different school was because our rumor was different. So the pool being under the gym was a true thing in my high school, but the reason that access was closed off was allegedly because some kid drowned when a janitor closed the pool thinking there was nobody in there. It was after hours. So the kid got trapped under the boards that were the gym floor. Thing is, the gym was on the main floor, there were classrooms underneath it, so there wouldn't have been space for a pool there. But there was a basement that had access closed off to students. Some people would break the locks just to see if there was anything down there, and sure enough, there was an abandoned pool in the basement. We never did get confirmation on whether or not someone drowned, though. Story 25. The rumor in my school was that the head of our English department and her PE teacher boyfriend put coursework online for websites that allowed students to cheat their grades. They were both suspended and she never came back, though he eventually did. Never officially confirmed, but I did find one of my essays online, and I was too good at writing an English essay to cheat for myself. Laugh my butt off.
Is there like a big market for selling answers to tests and stuff like that? Because, I mean, I know that teachers are not paid nearly what they should be paid and are really struggling to get by sometimes, but, oof, that's a black market I really didn't expect would exist.
Story 26. Not my school, but there used to be one in the neighborhood, a really huge one with a big campus area, big auditoriums and whatnot. There was a sports event for which a few senior girls were selected to have an interstate tournament, and guess what? Their PE teacher did something that he should not have done to one of the girls, and all that school did was give every child a note in their daily homework notice complaint diary about how they suspended that PE teacher. They didn't even let the parents call the police as they thought it would ruin their reputation. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.